Joining me now to weigh in on this and much, much more, Republican Senator Mike Rounds of South Dakota. Senator Rounds, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Appreciate your time. Let's start off by talking about this indictment of James Comey. The president made no secret that he wanted Comey to be prosecuted. In fact, this weekend he called on Pam Bondi to go after Comey in a Truth Social post, just as he installed his personal attorney as the top prosecutor in this district. And 5 days later, Comey was indicted. So, Senator, are you comfortable with the way this played out?
I think the courts will make the final decision. That's where it was going to go from the very beginning. Look, the president made it very clear that he was going to be looking for accountability, and that's exactly what he's doing. It probably does not come as a surprise to anybody. And so right now, we've got other things that we've got to be doing in the United States Senate. We'll let the courts sort this out.
But the president is personally directing the Justice Department to prosecute Comey. Should not there be a clear line of separation between the White House and the Justice Department?
Once again, I think it's accountability. And, look, the president ran on this. He said very clearly what he intended to do. The people of this country understood that he was going to call for accountability. He really did believe and still does believe that that has to occur. He's pushing the issue just as we expected that he would. So once again, this is about accountability, and it's exactly what we had expected would happen.
So let's just take a step back and look at some of the actions the president has taken in just the past few weeks. He's calling on the attorney general to prosecute his foes, fired a U.S. attorney who wouldn't do so. His FCC chair is threatening media companies. He's trying to strong arm the Federal Reserve to do what he wants. And the list really just goes on. I'm wondering, Senator, can you understand why some people may see these actions and worry that Trump is shattering democratic norms?
Well, I think what you're finding is a president that wants to show a strong executive. He is trying to fill a void out there right now.
You don't think he's gone too far in any of those areas that I just listed?
I think when he talks about what he's doing, he's filling a void that Congress has simply allowed in many cases because we haven't been doing our job. And part of it is Congress has got to come together. Part of it right now, we talked about accountability earlier. We've got some accountability as well. Part of it is actually doing our job and actually passing appropriations bills. And I know that's one of the things that you wanted to talk about today.
Yeah.
It's something that I think is critical to American people. And I think that's probably a bigger issue for a lot of people out there than what the president is doing or talking about on Truth Social.
Yeah, but just before we turn to the government shutdown fight, because it is hugely significant, are you personally okay with Trump telling the attorney general to go after his political opponents? Are you okay with that?
I think it's an accountability issue, and I think the courts sort it out. I think we need to stay in our lane right now, and our lane is doing our job. The president clearly wants accountability, and once again, this is one that will be decided in the courts, which is exactly where it should be.
All right, so let's turn to what's happening in Washington. In just 4 days, the government will shut down if Congress cannot pass a short-term spending bill. The White House's Office of Management and Budget has directed federal agencies to prepare for mass firings of the federal workforce if the government shut down. Now, your fellow Republican, Susan Collins, who chairs the Appropriations Committee, pushed back against that and said federal employees should not be treated as pawns amid a needlessly partisan impasse. So do you agree with Senator Collins that federal employees should not be fired if there's a shutdown?
If there is a Schumer shutdown, it will be a partisan Schumer shutdown. Look, Republicans don't want any kind of a thing happening where we have to shut down government. But if Senator Schumer says that this is the right thing for his party to do, to pursue this and not to find a path forward, then we're going to have that problem because it requires Democrats to work with Republicans in order to avoid that. But a Schumer shutdown is entirely possible. And look, last year or in March when this happened, one of the issues that was brought up, and I think Senator Schumer at that time recognized that if we don't do our job in Congress and if we don't do the appropriations process, then that allows the president to respond and what he's saying is if you're not going to do appropriations and if you're going to have a Schumer shutdown, he gets to play a part in it.
But Senator Rounds, as you know, As you know, in past shutdowns, typically those federal employees, they get furloughed, meaning they'll get their job back eventually, get back pay. The White House is going further here and saying that they will get fired. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, look, the president gets to make that call. And the reason why he gets to make that call is if Congress doesn't do its job. So let's talk about this for just a second. 12 appropriation bills. We've already got 3 of them out of the Senate right now. We've got the other ones ready to go. The only reason why they haven't come to the floor so far is because Democrats have refused to allow it in some cases. And look, the bottom line is I really do believe that appropriations have got to be done and that's our job. If you take a look at across this country, when I'm here in South Dakota and I talk to people, they want us to do the work.
Do you think that Trump should meet with Jeffries and Schumer, the Democratic leaders? He scrapped a meeting with them just yesterday.
No, the president is correct. When I talk to people in South Dakota, they want Congress to do its job. That means
that means they won't. That means
Mr.
they won't
Jeffords
negotiate.
that means they
won't negotiate.
The negotiations should occur. The negotiations should occur between Republicans and Democrats in the House and the Senate. We have got to take responsibility for our job in the government, which is appropriations. President Trump was absolutely correct in saying he should not have to step in and make the deals in this particular case. It is perfectly fine for Republicans to step forward. The bottom line is that the only reason that we might have a Schumer shutdown is because they don't want to come to the table and work this out with the Senate leadership coming from the Republican side. We can make this work. I am absolutely confident that if Democrats will come to the table and sit down with us, we can work our way through the issues. But remember, one of those issues that Senator Schumer has been demanding is that people that are not legally here in this country should have Medicaid benefits. That's a non-starter for Republicans.
Senator, I do want to ask you about one other thing. The president just posted another warning about Tylenol. This time he went beyond pregnant women and urged parents, quote, don't give Tylenol to your young children for virtually any reason. So to be clear, an untreated fever or an infection could be very dangerous for a young child. So, is it responsible? You're a grandfather. I'm wondering, you hear the president saying this. Is it responsible for the president to be giving medical advice like this?
The message that I've told my own kids, what I've told my relatives, and what I've told anybody that wants to hear me, including publicly, is talk to your physician. Everybody's health can be different, but the one thing that we do know is that if you don't need Tylenol, don't take it. That's right. But at the same time, talk to your physician. You and your physician should make that decision.
But the president's saying this on his platform.
About vaccines.
Should he be using his platform? But should he be using his platform to tens of millions of people to say these kind of things?
Look, the bottom line is he's the elected president of the United States. I'm going to do my best to do my job. I will allow the president the opportunity to do his work. He's doing what he thinks is right for the country. I respect him for that. I happen to have a differing point of view when it comes to vaccines in many cases, and I have a differing point of view when it comes to the use of Tylenol. But once again, they shouldn't be listening to me. They should be listening to their own physicians. And those physicians, I think, will speak very, very clearly that there are benefits to Tylenol that outweigh the risks.
All right. Senator Mike Rounds from South Dakota, thank you so much for taking the time and talking to me this afternoon. Really appreciate your time.